Welcome back, everyone, to the series between Sleep and Crank. Sleep and Crank. It is a battle between two Koreans for one spot in the round of 8, the quarterfinals of our NASL Season 4 qualifiers, where first place will receive $750 and a seed, or actually a spot, in NASL Season 4 divisional play.
Yep. That being said, our last map is going to be Ohana. This is the last game that we'll be casting for the round of 16. After this is the round of 8. Let's go ahead and head into it right now with Sleep and Crank.
Let's go ahead and introduce our players before we do any other further introductions. Let's go ahead and talk about this player in the bottom right. In the pink, it is Crank, formerly from Team Slayers, now currently independent, but will be traveling to MLG, and I can't wait to see how well he'll do on the international stage.
In the top left-hand corner, we have the player. Oh my god. It is Sleep.
Were you having trouble reading his name, Hunter?
No. I was just thinking of the Slayers.
Yeah, it was. It was really cool back when Slayers was bringing up all these cool people. It's actually really nice to see, because I remember one time when Slayers was first coming out, they had like 15 people on their roster. It looked kind of like Root is now. We were just like, wow, you have so many players. Like, how are you going to develop all this talent? But eventually, these players rose up. Golden was another one of them. Tasia was on Slayers once upon a time, and overshadowed by MMA, Ryung, even Boxer himself. And now all these people that Slayers were growing now are becoming the premier Koreans that a lot of people really look to in terms of play, in terms of talent.
I heard Tasia's pretty good.
I heard Tasia's really good. I heard he got all killed though by Incredible Miracle.
Yes,
So
he did.
It was 1-7. That's what I was reading on Reddit. That was so... You don't understand how hard I was laughing in between the commercial breaks when it says, Seed all kill Team Tasia. 1-7.
Oh, man.
Reverse
IPL Team Arena. I'm telling you, we have to have more Team Arenas.
It was.
That is the coolest thing
I think teams are going to eventually be the founding root of esports in general, because that's how sports grow. You know, people root for things like the Lakers, I mean, Real Madrid, the Cowboys, if you follow American football.
AC Milan, Chelsea, Arsenal, all these really, really big teams that people eventually grow into, because individuals in the end will come and go, but teams are what people have a sense of belonging. And that's what Team Liquid tries to do. That's what Evil Genius tried to do. That's what Slayer's trying to do. Yeah, I know. I mean, I always hear Rotterdam going on and on about AC Milan and how much he goes about Feyenoord. That's his favorite team. It's the Dutch team. No, it's just trolling. Roddy trivia. If Roddy is listening, he would be so mad at you. Like, what is this? No, I don't like them at all. Important to know real quick, it is Nexus first. It is Nexus first. And look at this full wall off from Crank. Wow, interesting. So this is normally indicative of something like Stargate play, although it could be something. The main thing to note is that because Sleep knows that it's a full wall off, he knows there's a very limited amount of probes on the map. So as long as he kills, at most, there could be 2, let's say. Yeah. 2 probes on the map. As if he kills 2 probes, he doesn't have to worry about any gateway pressure. And if it is gateway pressure, it's starting all the way down from the Nexus. Yeah, it's going to take a long time for it being able to get up. But Sleep at this point is being very, very diligent in making sure he scouts every single part of his third base. Does not want to get cannon rushed, because it's very easy actually to hide that on Ohana, because there's lots of room. You would think that the tighter space means that it's easier for cannon rushes, because you can, you know, pin the Paladin and cannon against the wall and really force the Zerg to kind of bring everything to attack it. But at the same time, because it's so spacious, there's a lot of hiding spots on Ohana, so you have to be very careful with just feeling like you can get your hatcheries up. Hey, look at how smart Sleep is being with his overlord positioning. I know he didn't do this last game I was watching, but now we actually checked and saw all the gas timings. Yeah, 3 gases yet again. And 3 gases coming up from Crank. Is this going to be another Dark Templar play? That would be really, really weird to do 2 games in a row. After seeing how on game 2... It would be weird. It would even be weirder if you did it 3 times in a row in the finals for GSL. Oh, I'm not BMing. I'm having fun. I'm having fun. No, let me be free, Gretorp. Oh, no, I am. We see no fast +1 out of Crank just yet. But I would definitely assume that he would do it very soon, because that's just been his style. He's been trying to go for early zealot pressure, try to force a lot of Zerglings out of his opponent. And I mean, Sleep's been doing it preemptively. In fact, he has 8 more Zerglings on the way, so Sleep being a little bit more conservative. But oh, look at this. A deviation from other games. We see a really quick robo the quick robo, maybe to just get Immortal Sentry, take a third base. Normally, you take down the Shilter Rocks, you have a good wall in the front. You only have to defend this area over here with Sentry and Immortal. Sentry and Immortal really needs everything together. You don't want to be really splitting anything apart. That's why we most likely have something like that. Probably looking to have a 9-minute, maybe 9-minute expansion. That is the main progression to this. There could be something like Sentry drops or anything, really. There's so many different variations from Robo.
Yeah, and from there you can just pretty much take a 3-base economy and go for those standard pushes. But at the same time, you do have the flexibility to go for, you know, like a 7-gate Immortal push on this map. You can take that high ground on the Zerg's conventional fourth with the rocks and kind of force yourself in a really good position. And it comes down really to how both players want to end up playing on this map, but it is Crank's map choice, so we're wondering how he's going to go from here, because he's kind of been very awkward about taking that third base unless it's really easy for him. On Daybreak, he was not really able to secure it, felt very uncomfortable by it, but I'm curious to see where he goes from here.
I am too. I think Crank really specialized in having that aggression or multitasking. And
his flanks were phenomenal last game.
I don't really think he's known for his super macro games. Not saying that he's terrible at them, but I wouldn't say that's his forte. And because of that, you're actually playing into Sleep's forte, in my opinion. Sleep is really good at playing at those really, really big, long macro games. Look at game 1. Even though he lost that, I think he followed it up after losing his third so well. He could have easily taken that game if things were slightly different.
I've even had the pleasure of talking to Sleep a lot back when he was on Check 6 and he was living in Southern California, going to a lot of the local lands. I believe like the Odyssey Gaming land and whatnot. Sleep says that his ZVP style, he loves defending actually. He loves being able to he loves making units and being very active. He loves, you know, surrounds and flanks, and he says that his kind of style is really strong around defense and then counterattacks. Those are the kind of things that he loves doing the most. Not necessarily droning up a lot. You can even see that at this point his drone count isn't as heavy as it could be. It's at 61. But he doesn't love necessarily putting up aggression. He hates force fields with a passion, like every Zerg. So Sleep says that he loves being more on the defensive end, but you know, by being defensive, create openings where he can really force Protoss in awkward positions.
Interesting. Well, he's going to need something like that, at least some sort of counterattack right now, because it is a 3 Immortal push with a ton of sentries. This is the instant key. Sleep knows that there is some inevitable push coming. Now, he can't get all of his units force shielded. If he loses these units, it's actually really tough to actually do anything from here. Zerglings on both sides looking to actually surround all of these units. Wow. Additional sentries being warped in here. This is a ton. What is that?
12. 12 sentries?
Is it 12?
Yes, 12 sentries at the moment, and he's warping in more Zealot Stalkers. The Warp Prism is very key. Oh, but look at this. Sleep going to double back around, potentially set up a flank, and of course, Sleep has things like Overlords in position. Going to try to see if there's a counterattack opportunity.
And there is. Look at this. He can actually go up there. No, he actually doesn't use it. In the meantime, those Immortals are just chugging away at those rocks. They can easily take them out. Sleep is actually in a very uncomfortable situation because now he can't really have this access point. It will be force shielded off. There it is.
Look at the entire L, the backwards J of force fields. A little hole, but it doesn't really matter. There's just enough to really keep the army secure, but he's losing a lot of the sentries. The Spinecrawler doing a phenomenal job, and the force fields are getting burned really quickly. Oh, and the Warp Prism actually cancels the warp, and Crank kind of bobbling this. He had a fantastic opportunity, and the flank from Sleep just enough to crush everything. Wow.
How did he do that?
That was very, I mean, the biggest thing is, again, Crank did not account for the army that was coming in from behind. That was a big thing. So Crank had to burn force fields on the ramp. And the second thing is his positioning was not that good because he was putting himself up really far down the ramp to the point where he had the force field insane amount, and he was losing sentries to that Spinecrawler.
It's so crazy. I mean, the amount of units that came out of there as well is very staggering. I mean, there's so many units coming up from from Sleep. His macro is just on key. He was able to get and hit every single inject to make that happen. But whenever I have that situation, my army just melts always. I always feel like Zerg armies just die super, super fast. The fact that Sleep was able to handle that so well is really testament to how skilled he is. And he walks away from that with a giant advantage. Yes, there are additional sentries and zealots in the back here, but the tech switch has already started. Look at that Spire tech on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Mutas from here, knowing that the third base doesn't exist from Crank.
1,200 gas was lost on top of the Stalkers. That you delay so much.
Yeah.
You delay upgrades. You delay your flexibility to incorporate other forms of tech tree. If you want to get Archons, if you want to get anything else later on, you want to get even Colossus. And at this point, this is a phenomenal choice from Sleep. He's going to go Mutalisk at this point because Crank's been going Sentry Immortal. He has no real form of anti-air. And in fact, Crank's pushing out one more time, but he's going to get hit by a huge wall of Zerg. I mean, it's going to come down again to how Crank really deals with this. But at the same time, Sleep buying more time. Going to break through the front of the natural wall. And Crank, what are you going to do, buddy? He's just going to go for it. He doesn't even care at this point. No more time's going to give to Sleep. The time is now.
Yep, Zerglings and Mutas are gaggling up, though, and they're going to very nicely meet up with all this army. Oh, he's actually going to go for the counterattack. I don't mind that at all either. Look at this. A ton of Spine Crawlers going to be put down in the main, knowing that this will be an all-out base race. And as long as he actually just limits the amount of probes, probes and pylons that are actually being made, the Protoss will not, in fact, be able to build on his army.
Yeah, there's no probes outside the base at all. In fact, Crank might have to summon back his War Prism to try to see if he can save anything, because at this point, he's just going to lose everything straight up by elimination. And at this point, Crank will not be able to kill buildings the same rate as these Zerglings and Roaches are. The Mutas are now going in. Crank trying to split up some of his probes, really trying to hide them in the corner, hoping that they can escape at this point. They are prisoners of war to the Zerg because they're holding everything. Sleep is now targeting down the probes. Very key. Crank pretty much has only one probe left at this point. He needs to save that probe, but he's going to get surrounded. The War Prism trying to get to there in time, but he doesn't get it. And Crank will have no opportunity whatsoever to place buildings. Only has to fight with his army, but there's enough Spine Crawlers to whittle down the Protoss force. Crank's applying now. Only half of that is Sleep, and Sleep is looking beautiful in these positions, Andre.
Yep. Sleep, all he has to do, he doesn't even have to engage against the army. He could probably just go ahead and eliminate his opponent. And he might actually do that. Mutas, though, are working all the way over to the side. Very nice force field to make sure no further drones can actually get out. So just as we say that, Crank is actually doing the same thing over to Sleep. Sleep really doesn't have any drones out in the field. It's unfortunate for him, but there it is. Crank is being revealed.
The last few moments, and Crank definitely going through everything in his head, but it won't matter. Sleep will be the one advancing into the game, and there it is. Crank has been officially eliminated. No more buildings on the map. And just like that, Sleep has punched his ticket to the round of 8.
Very well done. Sleep, obviously, the ZVP master.
It cut out mid-GG. It was like, GG! Because it fell onto the desk, so.
And I have to say, I mean, that defense was so impressive. I have to go back and look at that a little bit later because always in my... Actually, can we look at that right now, Elliot?
Let's go ahead. Instant replay. Let's go ahead and look at some of the big moments of this J. Now, see, normally he has to account for that back, but look at the sentries that are they're being lost. The Roaches are targeting them down, and that is just way too much. You can see the Spine Crawler also attacking the sentries as well.
I think that's actually the Spine Crawler was tanking a lot. The Roaches should have actually been targeted down. Another big thing is, as we were talking about the sentries, that getting 12 sentries is just way, way too much. And when you do that, you actually weaken your DPS so that you can't burst down that army fast enough to make it more manageable.
You can see where Crank wanted to... you can see where Crank wanted to go originally, too. He wanted to go buy that geyser and force himself, using that hatchery as sort of like a way to force field again, but he just didn't get enough time, really, to get in that spot. So it was a great momented decision for Sleep to engage there.
Yeah, very well done by Sleep, and I got to give it up to him. That's why he's advancing into the round of 8. And that being said, we are going to take a short commercial break. When we're back, it is the round of 8.
It is a round of 8. We'll tell you about what's going on after this. Don't go anywhere. This is the NASL Season 4 Qualifiers with Frodan and Gretorp. We'll be back in just a second.